My main aim was that I want to be the person who secures a full-time job as soon as I graduate.
What do you think about LinkedIn? Will that help you land a job?
Whatever interests you have and whatever skills you have, whatever certifications you're doing, post about it because it gives a potential employer who's wanting to give you an opportunity, a perspective of what you are as a person.
What are some key things that you think someone need to be successful on YouTube?
My objective from the start wasn't to get a lot of subscribers, wasn't to get a lot of views. It was primarily to get other roles from it in and around international education.
Someone watching from India is like, oh my God, is there racism in Australia? They've seen a lot of other podcast clips where people are like, oh, they're racist against, Indians, Sri Lankans and all that. What do you think? Have you faced racism? Hey guys, welcome to another episode with Shamak here. On this week's episode, I actually got a very special guest, Anshul Sethi. Now, Anshul Sethi, right here, Anshul Sethi is actually someone who I've followed very closely on LinkedIn. He's smashing it on YouTube as well. He's been in Australia for 3 odd years, but he's created such a huge impact online that I'm like, I have to speak to him. And he's done so much work around helping international students, around putting videos that kind of let people know about the common pitfalls. Like the other day, I saw a video about him letting students know not to fall into scams while buying cars. Welcome, Anshul Sethi.
Thank you very much. Grateful to be here.
Awesome.
How's it going?
Good, man. Good. Thanks for making the time. Now, I wanted to kind of directly ask you. So you're from Delhi.
Yes.
So Delhi, brought up in Delhi. And then you came to Australia. When did you come to Australia?
January 2022. So came here for my bachelor's, but had to do 1 year online because of COVID.
Yep.
So finished a year of my bachelor's back home and then finished in 2023. So did 2 years face to face basically.
Got it. So 2 years face to face. So what made you make the switch to Australia? What was like? So you were in Delhi, you've done your school and stuff like that. And what made you be like, hey, look, I want to go to Australia and like live my life and carry on? What was that switch?
It's a bit a reason that a lot of people don't move out for cricket. So I've been playing cricket since I was 9-10 years old.
Yeah.
Always wanted to become a professional cricketer. And back then when I was making the decision, the dream was still very, very much alive.
Yeah.
Represented Delhi in the under 14 age category.
Yeah.
But then for you to progress further and get into under 16, under 19, under 23, India, under 19, etc., you need to have the right connections. So neither me nor my parents had those. So I was like, okay, now I'm 18, I finished my year 12. COVID is here, so I have some time to think and, process on what I need to do now. Looked at some countries. I have my real aunt staying in New Zealand, so reached out to her because that's the first.
Of course.
That's the first reaction that everybody has. Where do we have family? Where can we go for support? So asked them, but what their reflection about New Zealand, their advice around New Zealand was that the industries outside agriculture, outside cricket, outside sport isn't pretty big. So if cricket doesn't work out, what's your plan B? And my first cousin, so my aunt's daughter, she and her fiance themselves were looking at moving to Melbourne. So I was like, okay, they were like, if we're ourselves thinking of moving to Australia, why would we want you to come here? So look at Australia because other industries are pretty big as well. So that is how I basically solidified on Australia.
Yep.
Not those general reasons around climate, your institutions, your universities or PR or anything. It was mostly cricket.
Love that. So that's interesting. Cricket. I mean, obviously, Australia is a huge sport, huge cricketing nation, and obviously, you said you played for Delhi under 14 as well. So Anshul's a big avid fan of cricket. On LinkedIn as well, he posts a lot of cricket stuff, and that's how I got to know about him because I love cricket as well, as you know. Anshul, I want to ask you a question. Now, obviously, everyone has a very interesting childhood, right? So, what do you think? What part of your childhood do you think shaped who you are today? Like in the sense that your decisions that you're making, what drives you to succeed, what drives you to make your YouTube videos. Is there any part of your childhood that you can recollect and share to us? They'd be like, hey, look, these were some of the moments that I feel like have made me who I am today and shaped me into this person.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think off the top of my head, 2 to 3 that come to mind. One is very prominent, and I think I've talked about this throughout some of my LinkedIn posts as well.
Yeah.
That you should never have all of your eggs in one basket.
Got it.
Be that with investment, be that with trusting someone, be that with a job opportunity, be that with anything and everything basically. So that has really stuck by me. Secondly, what I said around cricket, where neither me nor my parents had the right connections. So since a very small age, be that 13, 14, I was like, okay, you should have a person for everything. So if you want to get from everything from wanting to get into a corporate box to getting any and all things done, you should have a person that you can go to.
Yeah.
So have a good extensive network, build those sort of connections where you're adding value, because in this day and age, there's nothing one way, right? If you add value, only then the other person is going to add value.
I got you.
And I think third, if I were to recollect, not being like, obviously I'm from a middle class family, so not having those sort of finances where you have the financial freedom, right? And I can think of one memory where we were going via train to Shridi. So there's an entity goes by the name of Sai Baba.
Okay.
And my father used to follow that entity really closely.
Yeah.
And their temple is in Shridi,
Got
which is near Goa. Goa, I think you would know, near Mumbai.
course, of course.
So we were going there via train, and then our plans was to go take a flight from Shirdi to Goa for a vacation, like a family vacation. So at that time, my father had a business. So I remember this very prominently, where my mom and my dad sat my brother and I down in the train, and they said that, okay, a couple of deals have gone south. My dad is now going to start looking for jobs because we're having to close down the business. So
What business was this? Sorry again.
it was around garments and clothing.
Garments and clothing. Okay. Yeah.
So what we need from you is that we've given you everything. We've given you whatever you've asked for, but just be a little considerate when you're asking for things now from now on. It wasn't like, oh, we're poor. It wasn't like we don't have the funds to put food on the table.
Yeah.
But I think the adolescent brain that I had, I was like, shit, no, we don't have money.
We don't have money. Yeah.
So that has led to me having a very negative relationship with money.
Got it.
Now I'm working on it since I've started, earning on my own here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think those 2 to 3 things have basically shaped me into who I am today, and the sort of decisions I make, so forth.
Love that, man. Love that. That's a very interesting, because I feel like the way you're articulating it and understanding the scenario, like, okay, like obviously there are a lot of people who've had terrible childhoods and they've turned to be like, all right, money has been an issue. Let me go ahead and try to make as much money as I can, and they go ahead and make a lot of money, right?
Yeah.
So obviously, I just want to touch on that bit before we move ahead. So you said the connections part. Is that a big part of, I think, the atmosphere in India? If you have to get to a particular place, whether that's cricket, whether that's your business, whether that's politics, whether that's anything, and how did you feel at that moment? Was that something that you felt like was unfair, or did you just move on from it? And
Firstly, I would say not just in India, everywhere. Like
Everywhere,
Australia is also, like, you've been here for quite a long time. It's a very practical country. It's more about who you know, how you know them, how they know you, what is the perception they have of you.
Yeah.
Right? And if I were to go back to my childhood, I would obviously see, other players making it to the team just because they had the right connections, or, their uncle would know someone, and then they would get them into, connect. And I'm not someone who keeps dwelling on, oh, this doesn't happen, this didn't happen, this didn't happen, because it's a privilege to understand how the world works at a very young age. So at that time, obviously, there's a bit of there are a couple of moments where, like, oh, why did this person go through and I didn't go through? I have better talent and stuff. But I think there's more strength in accepting how the world works and building yourself up to a certain standard where you can start doing the same things as well, because nobody's going to feel pity for you except yourself.
100%.
And if you're in that circle, you won't get anywhere in life, is something what I believe in. And at that young age as well, I was like, okay, it happened, because it happened multiple times, right? It happened in the under 14 age group a year. It happened in the under 16 age group, under 19 age group as well, and then COVID hit. And I'm like, do I want to make myself and my parents go through the same thing, because it's the sport is not just your sport, right? All your
Of course.
family's hopes are behind it. When the trial, when the trials come, or when you have to perform, everybody's like, oh, how did you perform? How did that go? How did that go? So it's not just your aspirations, your dreams. It's your family's dreams that you're taking along onto that ground. So I think there was more strength in just accepting and moving on from it, and just understanding that, okay, this is how the world works. You need to have connections in the right place. Say that if you have a business and if you have connections in cricket, both of them don't align. So you need to be smart about where you need your connections. If you want to open a business in import or export, or then you need to have connections there. If it is in cricket, you need to have connections there. If it is in the clothing industry, you need to have connections there. That's how the world works, and unfortunately you have to get out there and start doing all of these things.
Man, I love that. Let's unpack this, right? Let's kind of hit the ground running with this. So you spoke about that. I think from what I'm listening to, there's a lot of practicality when you're looking at the situation. Like, let's be practical. Let's not dwell into the nitty gritties of why this didn't work out. Let's find a solution. Let's go ahead, do other things, right? Which is what you're doing at the moment. And also, I feel like there's two kinds of people, right? You got the kinds of people, I mean, with networking and making connections, it's a very tough thing to do sometimes. You don't want to go and talk to someone, you're hesitant, you're anxious, you're like, will that person accept me? And like, a lot of people struggle with that, but then the ones who are unabashed and go and do it, they're the ones who actually kind of like go ahead and make a lot of those connections, right? Because I'm in obviously a sales role, and it requires a lot of talking to uncomfortable people, networking with people who you don't know, who are in positions much higher than you. And you're like, are they going to think of me just as a junior person who's coming, and all that kind of stuff. So I completely relate to that. And I just want to switch to your YouTube now.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm actually pretty impressed with the YouTube, because I looked at the channel, and it's not just that you're trying to help international students and you're trying to help people. I see a lot of self-expression. You wanted to express your thoughts and opinions on the world and be like, this is what I think is going to happen, and this is what you need to know. Which is awesome. And I love that. I think that is 100% what people should do. If you have opinions, be unabashed about it. Now let's talk through YouTube. Why did you start it? When did you start it? What made you start it? Talk us through that.
So yeah, as I said, I came here in Jan 2022, right? And I've always had this bucket list item to start a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
But when I was in India, when I was back home, there was no reason or no topic to create videos on. Like it's not a very popular notion to just pick up the camera and start vlogging your lifestyle, because what are you doing as a kid, right? You're going to school, you're going to tuitions. 100%. Who would want to watch that? So when I came here, first I got that topic. I got that, okay, I can create videos around my experience as an international student, because that's a niche.
Love that.
And I myself consume a lot of content. So I had been watching a lot of YouTubers like Devarshi,
Desai, yeah.
who you got on your podcast. I watched that full podcast as well. I really admire the work that he's doing.
He's a gun. That guy's a hustler.
So was watching him while I was stuck in India during COVID. There's another YouTuber in Melbourne named Tushar Bareja. Was watching him, watching his videos as well, purely to get insights on what student life will be like. And then when I came, I was like, okay, I have this bucket list item. I have a topic, so I can start making videos, right? But honestly, a couple of reasons that got me to post on YouTube. One, which was I didn't have my first 2 months weren't really positive here in Australia.
Okay.
Nothing that happened to me, but generally, you're homesick.
Of course.
I was in a long distance relationship as well, as at that time, missing your friends, missing cricket, adjusting to a new lifestyle, adjusting to a new country. So the first 2 months weren't really bright. And secondly, anybody and everybody who I was talking to, they were like, okay, you've picked bachelors in marketing, you've picked bachelors in business, you won't get a PR, you won't get a full-time job, so change your course right now. Start doing IT or start doing nursing or something. And whoever I was talking to, like for example, I was talking to my then manager at Hungry Jack's, and the person has completed a master's in accounting, but is working as a manager in Hungry Jack's, which to be fair,
not wrong. I'm just. But it's still funny to hear that.
Exactly. And then she goes like, oh, I made a wrong decision of doing accounting. Now I'm not able to get jobs and stuff. So you should also change. And you know how it goes in these sort of occupation, these sort of degrees where you're prompted to change courses, and if you're not exactly, if you're not mature enough, you sometimes go down that path as well.
100. I've heard a lot of people who have as well. I know some friends who've changed unis, courses, stuff like that in like 2 months, and I'm like, bro, relax. Like, geez, like see what's going on before you do it.
Exactly. So my main aim was that okay, I do not want to be like my manager. I want to be the person who secures a full-time job as soon as I graduate, because that is what I'm here for. So I purely started this to treat myself as an internship rather than going out and working for someone else or working on their social media. I sort of realized pretty early on that I'm very capable of talking highly about myself.
Yes.
Borderline boasting, to be very honest. And I'm like, okay, if I can talk myself up, even if I do X thing, I can talk it up in a way where I can get more opportunities from that X thing. And that X thing was YouTube at that time. So majorly it was to treat myself as an internship and use it as a portfolio to get a full-time job. And minorly it was to obviously add value and share my experience as a student and help other people who necessarily do not have friends or family in Australia while they're moving.
I think it comes from a lot that you've gone through some experiences and you wanted to be like, hey, you don't have to go through it. I have some content that can potentially help you. What I also love about your channel, Anshul, is a lot of people, when they put their descriptions on YouTube, I read the channel descriptions very closely. Your one is honest. I'm 22-year-old, I came here, this is my YouTube channel, this is what I want to do, join my community, simple. Yeah. And you see other YouTube channels, there's a lot of, I wouldn't say crap, but there's a lot of fluff that's involved. But I feel like your one is just, this is what it is, this is who I am, this is what I do, that's it. Yeah. And I love that you're taking that on the side and making it like a hobby that you can leverage to show companies and be like, hey, look, I can actually make good content. Why don't you hire me for your marketing and stuff like that? Which is amazing, by the way. I wanted to ask you as well, YouTube, right? 2.1K, I think 2 to 3K subscribers, you're hitting a lot of numbers with your videos. I think the subscribers don't speak to the amount of viewership that you're getting. Yeah. And you obviously post on LinkedIn as well. We'll talk about LinkedIn later, but YouTube, what does, I'm trying to post on YouTube. A lot of people are trying to post on YouTube, right? What are some key things that you think someone need to be successful on YouTube? Like, what do you think worked for you? What did not work for you? Like, I'm talking technically, shooting wise, topics wise, because you've done a lot of content. Can you run us through that if you can?
Yeah, 100%. I think first thing was, going back to what I said, what is your objective? Like, my objective from the start wasn't to get a lot of subscribers, wasn't to get a lot of views. It was primarily to, and I didn't even know, if I'm making bad content or good content. I was pressing record, speaking on camera, doing very minimal editing and posting it online because I wanted to say that, okay, I create YouTube videos around international education. So give me a job or give me a role in content around that. So my objective from the start, now it has changed and I'll talk about that. But from the start, my objective has been to use those YouTube videos, one, to obviously add value, however much I can. But secondly, primarily, to get other roles from it in and around international education. Like, for example, I got the opportunity to work, which I'm really, really grateful for. I got the opportunity to work with Scape, which is one of the student accommodations here. So I got to create content for them. That then led on to creating content for my university, so Torrens University.
Oh, nice.
That led on to create content for Study Adelaide, which was my first full-time job.
Love that.
So that was just a spark basically that I needed to talk about what I was doing, to talk about myself.
And how did you get to create? You just let them know, hey, I want to create
Exactly.
content.
So like, for example, there's a I don't exactly know the name of the campaign, but I think it was Scape Content Creator Campaign or something like that. And you had to put in a 2,000-word answer of why you think you should be chosen. I was like, yeah, I do this. This is the link of a video that has performed well. I do this for my university. I volunteer here. I'm very vocal about international education. And yeah, they just took me because they'd rather have someone who knows the crowd that is coming into their accommodations than a UGC content creator. And Scape is so big, they're in each city in Australia. They took a mix of people. They took someone who knew international education like myself. somebody else who knew UGC, somebody else who knew how to make viral reels, right? So my objective from the start wasn't to get subscribers or wasn't to get monetized. It was to primarily get a job and also add value,
And
obviously.
build a body of work that you can show to employers.
Exactly. So that is why since the start I haven't, put in much thought about my thumbnail or my title or how I'm looking in the video or how the edit is. It is mostly to just try to be consistent. And as a student, a lot of things come into your life. So because my objectives weren't that clear and because I started ticking off the primary objective, which was to get other paid roles in content around international education, I wasn't really consistent on YouTube. So like if you go and scroll on my YouTube channel, you'll see a video posted in a month, one video posted in 2 months, the next video is coming out after 3 months because maybe at that time I have gotten a role with my university. So my objective is done, and whoever is reaching out to me via YouTube, I'm helping them one on one. Be that through my Instagram, be that through getting on calls. So both
You help them with like the YouTube side, content side, or with like the education job hunting side?
more so just to a lot of people just need 10 minutes of my time or of anybody's time who's in another country just to know, am I going to be safe? Is it what I'm watching on your channel, is it actually true? So they just need that I think just second tick that okay, it's going to be good, it's going to be okay, it's not going to be easy, but it's going to be okay. So just being that ear to a lot of people was something that I was doing on the side as well. But now switch to when I was moving from study Adelaide to where I'm working now. I was like, okay, I'm not working and I'm not going to be working in international education anymore. And I purely want to add, and now my objective is to purely add value to prospective students. So that is why now you will see 2 videos, 3 videos going out in a week because the objective has changed. So as soon as for whoever is listening, as soon as you get clarity on your objective and how you want to do that, I think that is, and you be true to yourself and purely focus on adding value, and don't focus on the nitty gritties that my hair is not made or I'm not looking good, I don't want to record today. Just do it because your objective is to add value. Or maybe if your objective is to monetize your channel, then you'll start looking at topics that are trending and topics that people really want to see so that you get higher viewership. So it really depends on what your objective.
So your objective, what I'm seeing is your objective is make value, and you're just making videos to help people. You're not worried about how much engagement you get. A lot you are, but not too much. And you're also focusing on does this video give what the viewers need, whether it gets the views or not. And I think you're making, I look at your thumbnails, it's pretty interesting. It's decent, good, and you're getting views on some, you're not getting views on some. It's part of every channel, but you're just trying to put out and provide value at this point. And that's your focus. And that is very interesting you mentioned that, because when I spoke to Soumya Sindhu, who's in like Melbourne, you know Soumya Sindhu, obviously.
No, I watched that podcast yesterday.
Which one with oh yeah with her, yeah.
When I'm in the gym and I'm doing cardio, I just switch on any podcast.
She's like, she has 55,000 on Instagram, but she's bloody amazing at Instagram. Like she drops a video, it goes viral. It's just like that, right? And I asked her, I'm like, what is your secret? Tell me your secret. And she's like, no, I mean, I like this and I just make it, and sometimes I don't make it for 3 weeks and then I like it. So I'm just seeing that she's just she really enjoys making the videos. She's not like focusing. She does focus on everyone does, but she just likes the process, the videos, the songs, and she just likes being herself on camera, which then people see and then they're like, oh, I really like this, and they watch it. I feel it's with you as well, which is a good way to kind of go about it, right?
I think for me, it's again going back to the objective and how much value I'm adding. Like for example, there's this one person who was coming to Adelaide. I think he's going to come in July, right? Yeah. And he sends me a message that I think it was like he was fasting at that time. Yeah. And like, your video drops at that time where I break my fast watching your videos. And the next week, I wasn't motivated to make videos, right? Because it happens to everybody. Sometimes you have a very tiring day at work and you don't want to record, right? Yeah. And I'm like, okay, if I'm being consistent, if I'm posting 2 to 3 videos every week, people are one trusting me with my content, are pressing subscribe, which doesn't cost them anything. But at the end of the day, they're like, okay, Anshul is posting about a lot of things. What if when he posts about the next thing, and because he's kept adding value, I'll watch that video as well.
Yeah.
So now those people or those comments keep me going rather than, I love making YouTube videos. Nobody loves their work at each and every point of time.
100%.
But what gets you going is consistency. What gets you going is you have to post, like for me, 2 videos every week, no matter what. No matter what, you have to post it, irrespective of if it is edited or not, if the thumbnail is shitty or not. Just put anything and post it. At the end of the day, for me, right now on YouTube, quantity matters more than quality. Consistency matters more than, oh, this only achieved 1.5k views or only 500 views or 200 views. Didn't achieve, go back, reflect why it didn't work, look at other YouTubers, look at what sort of videos are doing well, and sort of break it down why they're doing well and why they're not doing well. Look at if the reasons of why they're doing well, if you can achieve those reasons, do that. If you can't, stick to your channel, stick to adding value, and then the right people will find your
So you don't worry. So even when you're editing, you do minimal edits. Sometimes you just get it out there. You shoot it with your phone. I'm presuming a lot of the videos, and you're just chucking it on CapCut or Adobe or whatever, just cutting it out, putting a thumbnail, and uploading it. Not worrying about too much about this, that. My hair is looking good.
Because see, I know that
hair is looking good anyway, but
because I know that I'm working 9 to 5 5 days a week.
Yeah.
That is something that I have to do. I can't get by without it.
Of course, and that's okay. Yeah, that's absolutely.
And then I'm hitting the gym as well. I'm playing cricket. I'm training. I have to give time to my friends, my partner, my family. I have a couple of other projects that I'm working on. I want to start a business in the next year or so. So I'm connecting with people, talking to people about it. So YouTube is a part of my day, is a small part of my day.
It's not your day.
Exactly. So if I can smash out 3-4 pieces of content right now, I get to a certain point where I'm adding value, yes, but I need to focus on quality as well a little bit. I'll reduce the number of videos to make it 2, make it 3, maybe get an editor on board. I'm trying out editors right now as well. So get editors on board and delegate a lot of things. And that is how organizations are built. That is how businesses are built. That is how you start getting monetized, where you have to do a lot of things. You have to sacrifice on a lot of things and do it yourself until you get to a point where you can start delegating and focus on adding value. So I think adding value is the main part, whether that be through quantity, whether that be through quality at a certain point, but it keeps changing phase to phase.
I love that. I think I absolutely agree with you. I think like at this point, you need to put out a lot of work out there, and then you'll understand which one works, which one doesn't work, and you can capitalize on the ones that work. Exactly. But also it allows you to build a brand, and it builds some people that know you. And then when you build a business, then you're getting money from there. Then you can hire an editor. Exactly. But by putting out the videos, you're slowly building a base. It's not like you're waiting for the perfect moment to be like, I want the perfect YouTube video. You're putting out videos, maybe that's 70% as much as you would like, 60%, but you're still putting them out, right?
And I think a lot of it has to do with self-belief as well. Like if you know that you can invest a certain amount of time and build it to a certain, a level, and I'm very much into, positive affirmations, manifesting. And I know that for me, at least, I'm the hardest worker out there. I can wake up at 7, go to work, finish work early, come back home, go to the gym, go for cricket, smash a YouTube video out, smash an Instagram reel out, work on my business projects that I'm wanting to pursue, sleep at 2:30, and I'm happy doing that because I get joy from work. I get joy from achievements. I get joy from adding value. So it's at the end of the day, it's about knowing who you are, what gets you going, and self-belief.
I love that. I think like absolutely. If at this age specifically, I think you can enjoy life, but I feel like there's more enjoyment to gain from doing productive stuff. There's more enjoyment to gain from that. Absolutely, I'm with you. Like,
and taking care of yourself as well. Like at the end of the day, you're doing all of this for yourself. You're doing all of this to lead a good life, to lead a better life. So be that by putting in things like, for example, I write positive things about myself or what I want to achieve before I start work every day. So at work, I have a book that I keep in the corner of my desk. Take it out, write, let's say today is the 30th of May or whatever. Write down 3 points of what I want to achieve, what I did right, what I did, what I can work on, what are my learnings. That starts off the day in a very positive note. Keep talking positive about myself. Only put positive things out into the environment. Because a lot of people would laugh at it and feel that it's gimmicky.
No, it's not.
But it all comes back to you at some point or the other. Be you realize it or not. So I'm a really big believer of working hard, working smart, leading a positive life, adding value around your network and other people, being a good person, because I calculate karma points in my head, and you know what, even if you're backstabbing me, it's okay. At the end of the day, it's going to come back to you.
Yeah.
I don't want to give a shit about it.
No, 100%. 100%, Anshul. No, that was awesome. I wanted to pivot the conversation onto something you post about and something you've experienced, right? Now, a lot of, I've always, every time I go on LinkedIn, I go on Instagram, I go everywhere, it's like job hunting. How to get a job, how to get a job, how to get a job. Everyone's asking me, bro, how do I get a job here? How do I get a job here? Which is completely fair. Everyone needs a job. They want to get a job. They paid a lot of tuition fees, come here. Their parents have put a lot of money aside, sacrifice, and they need a job. From your experience and from your job hunting experience, like what can you, like people are graduating. You obviously graduated.
Yeah.
What are something, like a lot of international students are also watching this video and they're like, man, how do I get a job? What do I need to do? What are things I need to focus on?
Yeah.
Whether it's in marketing, I'm in IT, some people are already ahead of the game and they've got grad programs, which is very good on them. They're actually taking it on the chin and going ahead. And some are not. What would you say to the ones who are not? Like, share us some insights, share us some tips, give what you've gone through, and maybe some value to people that they be like, oh my God, this is something that I can do as well.
Yeah. No, I love that question because I can create a whole YouTube video on
I
it.
know, right? I know. Let's do it.
See, I think if I purely talk about full-time jobs, it's as you said, a lot of people are graduating. So it's a game that I feel you should start playing as soon as you come to Australia or as soon as you go to any other country. As soon as you migrate, or even if you're in stuck in your home country, you're looking for a job there as well. It's a long-term game. It's not something that you get into right after you graduate, because look at the people around you. Let's say if I recently made a video around construction management, and
I saw
that person told me that in his batch 135 people were there, and out of 135, 134 people were from India. All right, that's a really big stat. And when all those 134, 135 people graduate, they'll be targeting the same jobs, right? So how many of you will be getting jobs in your field in Adelaide or whichever city, whichever country you're in? So my top insight, my greatest insight is, don't reinvent the wheel. Look at people who have already gotten jobs in your occupation, in your industry, and not after graduating. This is something that you should be doing straight in your first
while you're
semester.
studying, yeah.
Exactly. So let's say if I have pursued my bachelor's from Torrens University, and it's in marketing, right? Go on LinkedIn, look at people who've pursued marketing from Torrens University or from, the neighboring institutions in your city, in your country, and then reach out to them. Look at their LinkedIn, look at their experience, look at what they've done, what sort of career trajectory that they've gone through. Now you'll see a lot of people who've just gotten lucky and gotten a graduate program or have gotten a job straight after graduation. You'll see a lot of hard workers out there as well who've done a lot of unpaid internships, then a paid internship, then some volunteering roles, then a full-time job. So my top insight is, do not reinvent the wheel. Look at what others have done in your occupation, in the city you're in the country you're in. Talk to them, get their insights, and follow that as religiously as you can. Because once you start doing that, it's basically a formula that you're implementing on your life, and you'll do that. Like for example, for me, what I did was, when I had that chat with my manager, and I was like, okay, now I have a goal that I need to get a full-time job before I even graduate. But what do I do? And at that time, we were allowed to work full-time because it was COVID. So I think at one point in my international student journey, I had 4 to 5 jobs at the same time, like casual jobs. So I used to start working at 4 p.m. at Adelaide Oval. finish at around 10:30, 11 p.m., go to Hungry Jack's for an overnight shift from 11 p.m. to 5 a.m. If I'm doing that 3 days a week, I can't give time anywhere else, not to my social life, not to my cricket, nowhere, right? So once I stopped doing all of that, I was like, okay, I'm 1 year into my international student journey. I only have a year left of my studies, after which I need to get a full-time job for my future goals. I was like, okay, I need to let go of most of my casual jobs, keep one just to keep me afloat, just to keep my rents afloat, and then side by side start looking at jobs in my profession, in my occupation that I can get right now, that I can even work 15, 20 hours a week for. And why I was able to get that was because I did all those content roles technically in my
Got it. You got some experience there. Yeah, yeah.
but if I were to keep this advice universal and not just marketing, going again, do not reinvent the wheel. Look at people who've gotten roles in your occupation, in the city you're in the country you're in. Reach out to them, ask them for a coffee. Especially in Australia, it's a very practical country. I always say this on my channel as well, that you can reach out to an MD of a company, of an organization, and they might say yes to.
They might say yes. Actually, I've had that happen to me. I've jumped on call. I've been like, hey man, do you want to come? And they've actually met me. I've been like, exactly. I thought he was a scammer for a while, and then I realized no, he's actually a guy. Yeah.
Exactly. And it's long term networking. It's not in the first coffee, oh, do you have any jobs? Do you have any roles? Yeah. It's not about, being that petty or being that desperate, if for a lack of better words, because people higher up, people in those roles can sense that from a mile away. If you actually build a relationship with them, get their insights, get their advice, and leave the conversation there. Leave the first conversation there. In between, keep reaching out to them, ask them questions, add value as well. As I said, in this day and age, if you're not adding value to anybody's life, they won't add value back. So maybe send them an article, or maybe mention them in a LinkedIn post that I chatted with X, he told me, or they told me about whatever. I got really great insights, right? For them, it's a mention. Even if the post gets a couple of engagements, in their head, you've made them feel better than yourself and made them feel or put them on a pedestal. Once you've done that, that's a network for life. And 100%. If a vacancy comes through, or if you have a good enough relationship or good enough connection with them, that is when you leverage those connections. So I think it's a long-term game and not something you start doing right after you graduate, because everybody is putting in the same resume and same cover letter through the same templates through Seek or wherever you.
I was just going to ask, with the resume and cover letter part, is there a way you can make it better? Is there a format you recommend, or you just like go with the traditional format and make it as short, concise, to the point, or what do you have to say on that? Because like some people are like, there's a lot of things. Do you put a photo on resume? Do I not? People are not sure about. What do you think?
Not really. Do not put a photo or anything. I would say go to YouTube and look at what an Australian resume template looks like, because the template from your country will not work here. And if I were to go back to the grassroots of what I was saying, reach out to someone who's gotten a job and ask them for their resume, because their resume has landed them an interview, which has then gotten them a job. Got it. So instead of downloading a free resume template or free Australian resume template from Seek or any other organization, ask a person who's already working full time, get their resume, put all of your details in the same format. That is a resume that already works. So why do you want to reinvent the wheel and download a template and put your details?
100%. 100%. And I feel like in interviews as well, I think do you recommend doing the same thing where you go ask them, what did you say in this question? What do you recommend answering? Because that's the way you sell yourself as well, right? Like if you're a better speaker in an interview, if you can ask the right questions, if you can answer it well, you're going to do much better than people who can't, right?
I think for that question, yes and no. Like, for example, I would definitely ask someone about how you answered, let's say, a salary question, like, salary expectations, or how would you answer a technical question. But when it comes to those behavioral questions, or when they ask you your soft skills, I think the more authentic you are, and the more personality traits that you show of yourself. And again, going back to what I said earlier, you should know how to market your achievements, and you should know how to talk highly of yourself. borderline boasting about yourself, because if you don't do it, nobody else will. Nobody else is going to say that, oh, Anshul got X amount of views or engagement on this paid advertising campaign that he launched. Only if I put that on LinkedIn, people will get to know that I have experience in paid advertisement on Meta or on Google or whatever. So these sort of things, people feel that you're being boasty, or you're being to keep talking about your achievements, because at the end of the day, you're the only person who's looking out for yourself, and if you don't sort yourself out, as you say in a very Delhi tone, if you don't sort yourself out, nobody else will. So sort yourself out first and then add value. Like for example, even with my content, because I've gotten to a certain point, now I can talk about, oh, you should do this in an interview. You should do this to get a job. You should do this to get a good connection or do networking. Because I've tried, I've failed, I've somewhat succeeded, still a long way to go. But once I'm at a particular point in my journey, only then I can talk about what I've done.
100%. I feel like with the adding value part, it's so important because like I've had a lot of people like Devarshi as well and all the other people who have come on the podcast. As soon as I see something, because they're in content, right? I see something, I'm like, man, this actually works. This is something that has worked on LinkedIn. Like for example, on LinkedIn, carousels are doing bloody well for some reason I don't even know. Images, videos are doing okay. Carousels are doing well. So I immediately share that with them. Like, hey, dude, you should get on the carousels. And they're like, oh, thank you so much. And they post a carousel, it actually does well. You know, like some of the networks that I know, like people I know, and they're like, oh my God, thank you. And that's like a value thing, right? You spot something, quickly send it, be like, hey, bro, you should try this. And like, I probably didn't send it to you because we probably didn't chat, but like, I will do now. But
No, 100% relate. Like, for example, if I give you an example, a lot of people ask this question that, oh, they're so higher up. What can I do? I'm just a student. How can I add value? Like that day, I met a subscriber of mine in the tram station. And they had gotten a volunteering position through Study Adelaide's job shop. It's basically a platform where you can start applying for jobs even before you land in Australia. Jobs, internships, volunteering, whatever. And I'm like, okay, I'm not working at that organization anymore. Obviously, I'm in touch with my ex colleagues, but you know how it is. Like sometimes you lose touch. But if I want to maintain a relationship with them, I have to add value again. I made a group on LinkedIn with the engagement team of Study Adelaide, shared this person's contact. Now that's a point that I've done in, let's say, May of this year. Then I'll look at, okay, for 3 months, 4 months after, I'll send them another thing. That is how you sort of nurture those relationships and not make it look very one-sided, not make it look like, oh, I'm just in your connection, in your network to ask for a job. It's about those sort of little things that you do, be that, talking about you, let's say, at a meetup that I go to. If I talk about you and say that, oh, he's doing really great work, he's, releasing podcasts with X, Y, Z guests, that is me adding value to you and your network. Even if you don't know that, somewhere, if that person comes to you and talk to you, says to you that, oh yeah, Anshul mentioned the work that you do, and then I went to YouTube and checked out your YouTube channel. That is a plus point for me in your head, right? 100%. So that is how you sort of nurture relationships. And
I wanted to say something on that, like absolutely, because I met Mohit. You know Mohit, right? Yeah. I met him and it was so funny. He's like, "Oh, you want to catch up?" I'm like, "Sure, catch up with him coffee." And then he said, "You're the first guy I met in a while who hasn't come for a coffee and asked me for a job." And I said, no. I mean, I was just having fun with him. I was just talking for like 1 hour, we're just having coffee and all of that. Maybe if I didn't have a job, I would have asked him for a job, but that's a different thing. But he's like everyone I meet, they come, they say hi, how are you, ask for a job. Exactly. And he's like, but get to know me, ask me something else, treat me like a human being also, right? I'm not just a person who is a connection for you to go to a company, right? I'm just which makes sense.
And that's, I mean, see, I've been in those shoes. I can't blame those.
100%. I'm very empathetic. I'm very empathetic with them. 100%.
Purely does come out of desperation. 100%. But I think even just a little note to them that yes, you don't have a job right now. Yes, it is very hard to get a job in certain occupations, certain industries. But only if you do the right things for a longer time, you increase your rate of success. Only if you have those sort of people in your corner, if I talk from a boxing perspective, if you have those sort of people backing you, only then you increase your chances of success, because again, it's a very practical country. You need to know the right people, because um, if I purely say like India, there are hundreds waiting for that role behind you. People here want to move organizations so quick that, if I'm moving from a government organization to another government organization, there are 99 other people, fresh people who have applied for that role. But I might be given the edge because I've already worked in a government sector before.
100%.
And I might not even want to move. I'm just putting in my application just to see if I get through.
Yeah.
And if I get through to the interview, that I basically, quote unquote,
Verified a process.
beaten 98, 99 other people who were actually wanting to get that role. I was like, okay, I'll just put my resume in. But it's like a domino effect. You get that first role, then you're more probable to get that second, and then third, and then fourth.
It's always like that. Like, I feel like when I graduated, I'll tell you how I got my first job, right? I'll just share that while we're chatting. So I was in uni and I was like, shit, 4 months to graduate. I'm like, I don't have a job, whatever, like this. My friends are getting grad programs and all that. And I met this girl, and she got a role in a company called Concentrics. And I didn't even think of her as, oh, I'm going to use, like, get her. I was like, I was just chatting with her. She was friends of us, friends. And I would help her with her assignments. She'd help me with assignments and all that. And one day she graduated. She got a job in the company. And I was like, awesome, dude. She hosted a dinner with us. And then 1-2 months after, she's like, man, we're hiring again. Do you want to join? I said, 100%, I'll apply. So I applied and she got me through. So you know what I mean? It was not even like something that I was, and by the way, I was applying every day to 100 jobs, right? And I got some interviews, but I never actually got the job. But it was just through this girl who I knew, who was a friend, who I knew for a while and just maintained the relationship. And she was like, hey, dude, you're actually a nice dude. Do you want to? She was like, I wouldn't mind if he was working in the same office as me. Exactly. It's another thing, right? Do you want that guy to work in the same company? You know what I'm saying?
I think that's a really big thing as well, that don't burn any bridges.
Oh, 100%.
Particularly in Adelaide, do not burn any bridges. It's very small. Every third person knows someone. And yes, you don't get along with a lot of people here, right? I don't get along with a lot of people here. But I have that maturity to keep a distance, yet when I need a favor, I can go back to them and ask them that favor.
Yeah.
Because it again goes back to that mentality that I need to have people who can get
100%.
different things done. Be that booking an auditorium for my birthday party, to getting me a job, as small as helping me with that event of mine, to helping me securing a full-time job, or getting me a deal with a client that they might know of in some capacity.
100%. I completely agree with you. I feel like you need people. I think people are very important. I think like people who think that they can do everything alone are very, they're not, then you can do everything alone, but it's better if you have people. 100%. And like, sorry, you go.
Now, it's just that, I mean, because this generation, we're like, okay, we don't like this person, cancelled.
I know.
We don't like that person. 100%, you will not like a lot of people and you don't want to hang out with them. Nobody is asking you to hang out with 10, 20 people on a weekly basis. But the least you can do is be a good person, maintain that distance, but be cordial. Be cordial, do not burn that bridge. Even if it affects your ego, which is a very big thing nowadays, as you know, just take it on your ego. Be cordial, because you never know where someone might help you out.
I think this is a big discussion that we can have for like hours. I think I can have the discussion for hours.
Multiple examples both you and I might have. Yeah.
100%. I'll tell you an example right now. So I was in a company like before this, and the GM, I won't name the company so people won't know, but the GM had burnt a lot of bridges in Adelaide. To a point where we were finding it hard to strike new deals, because people would be like, oh, you're with this guy, you're in this company? Sorry, man, I don't want to talk to you. It was that bad, because he's built a reputation in the past. He's not like this anymore. He was not that bad anymore, but he was a bit too pushy with people, bit too pushy with the deals, did certain things that were not true, all that kind of stuff. And then people, if someone does something good to you, you're probably going to say it to one person, but if someone does something bad to you, you're going to say it to 20 people, right? 100%. That's the thing. So Adelaide is so small. And even in the restaurants, if you notice all the places here, it's just a few people that own a lot of the stuff. So even in my sales role, I'm very careful as to, you tell them the right. If you can't help them, sorry, I can't help you, because you don't want to help them and then lie to them, but you're not actually able to help them, because that's going to burn a lot of bridges. So I completely agree with you on that.
Yeah, I think as a student, if this goes to a lot of students as well, like the littlest of examples that I can give you is you're sitting with your friends, 4 or 5 friends, right? And you're talking about an individual in a negative manner. Everybody likes gossiping, right?
Oh, yeah.
And that gets to that person at one point.
Oh, 100%. It
Two,
does.
3 years after everybody has graduated, X person has a role, let's say, in one of the big fours.
Yeah.
And you need that reference. Will that person help you? Most probably not. So I go that minute into details. I think about saying anything and everything twice, thrice, because I never know what I say will get to someone and how they will interpret it, how they will perceive it, and how my image will be affected. So I'm a very big, think about what you say twice, where you're saying that look around yourself, and then go about your ways. And I mean, it's some people might say that you're not being yourself, blah blah blah. Like, I'm okay not being myself as long as I get my shit done.
That's fine. And I feel like, obviously, because I'm Muslim as well, in Islam, there's a big thing about backbiting and not backbiting around people and all that. And the thing about, especially, I've not felt that in Adelaide, is if you talk bad about someone, they will know it. It's happened 100% of the time. I'm telling you, someone has said, in me, and even with I have gotten to know. And it's not because I want to know or I'm asking people, it just comes. It comes because it's like people talk, and it's such a small community that people get to know. So you're absolutely right. Just got to be very careful what you say, where you say it, because you might not need the person, but you don't want, it's going to be a harm on your reputation.
Exactly. And if you hear, like, your bestest friend might not be with you in a month's time, so whatever you're saying in confidence, just think about it and go about your ways accordingly.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's a very good point. Actually, I think that's the best point of the whole chat. I think. I wanted to ask you one thing, Anshul, and there's a few like few platforms, right? You got the Instagram, you got LinkedIn, you got, obviously you're very good on LinkedIn. Is LinkedIn something that you think that people should be posting on more often, or like what do you think about LinkedIn? Would that help you land a job? I'm just curious.
I've had this chat with multiple people in multiple occupations, like for example, marketing, like where the occupation that I'm in. I've talked to people in IT, different perspectives. Especially if I talk about IT or those technical fields like engineering, IT, and stuff. They're like, no, we don't have to post anything. If you look at my manager, or if you look at a manager in a pretty big company, they don't even have LinkedIn presence. But what I would like to say here is that realize and reflect that you're a migrant, you're in another country, you're building your network and your connections from scratch. You don't know anybody here, nobody knows anything about you, nobody knows any of the skills that you have. So, irrespective of the occupation of the field you're in, you need to promote yourself and you need to talk about your soft skills, your hard skills, your technical skills, your personality, your characteristics on LinkedIn. Um, and I mean, it might work in some occupations like marketing where people expect you to be extroverted. It might not work, and might not work in the sense that it won't have any negative effects on your career, but it might not work in getting you a job. But at the end of the day, are you just here to do a job, or are you here to build a personal brand? Are you here to grow in your role as well, or get other side hustles going with you? Like, I can work in IT, but I can be a public speaker and give TEDx talks. Nobody is banning me from doing that, right? So whatever interests you have and whatever skills you have, whatever certifications you're doing, whatever projects you're leading, whatever volunteering roles you have, whatever casual roles you have, post about it, because it gives a potential employer or a potential person who's wanting to give you an opportunity, a perspective of what you are as a person amongst the 10 other people who want the same role. That is what my perspective is.
That's a good point. And I feel like for someone who's like, I saw your post, right? You said something in Hindi, but I read the translation. It said that little droplets make an ocean, and you posted about how you do little things, and it was a nice image, and that caught my attention. I was like, that's a really good post, right? What should someone post? Like, they don't know what to post about. They're like, what do I post? And they're like, what are people gonna say? Should I post a picture? Should I write? Should I post a proverb? Or should I just post what I truly want to say? Like, what do you recommend in that? Like, from that aspect?
I reckon when I started off, I started posting my uni projects. Like, I wrote an article on sports marketing or something, and I posted that. I think got 5-6 likes or something. Then
I still get 5-6 likes.
I think everybody, some posts do not perform well, and you need to be okay with that. Some at the start, I posted about, we were doing like work with a real life organization. So I, took a screenshot of our team's meeting, got permissions from that organization and posted about that. Slowly started posting about, hey, I'm in the student council, we did this event, and my responsibility was this, and obviously in a more refined format. Day by day, day by day, day by day, once you start engaging with other posts, with what other people are posting, you get insights into, oh, I can talk about this as well. Like, for example, if I talk about yourself or Mohit or people who post consistently, right? You might be in touch with Utkarsh in Canberra as well.
No, but I've definitely name has popped on a couple of times.
He's around like grad careers and
Grad careers, Utkarsh. Yeah. Now I know.
So if I look at, Mohit posted about posted a quote from a book he's reading, and then how he just took on that reflection and implemented it in his life. I do not read a lot of books, but I listen to a lot of podcasts. I can post about that. So the more time you spend on the platform is the more you get to know about it. Same with Instagram, same with LinkedIn, same with Facebook, because what is working for others will also work for you, but in your authentic tone and your authentic perspectives. So like, for example, then I took on all of these insights, a lot of these perspectives, and went back to the drawing board. I used Notion for collecting my thoughts. 100%. So went back to Notion and said that, okay, I'm interested in international education, I'm interested in marketing, I'm interested in sports. These are the 3-4 things that I'm interested in: podcasts, running, etc. Wrote down draft notes on what I can post about, gave myself a goal that, okay, I need to post 2 times on LinkedIn every time. And it's all about the systems and processes that you put into your daily lifestyle. Like every Saturday night, be that I'm partying or be that I'm doing anything, Saturday evening, I sit down, take 30-45 minutes and write down 2 posts and schedule it for LinkedIn.
Love that.
And as you said, like, carousels are working better now. But how did you get to know that? Because you are spending time on LinkedIn. Exactly. You're spending time on LinkedIn, you're seeing what works for others, experimenting that on your own profile, and seeing what works, what doesn't. Because you need to know that you won't be penalized for posting on LinkedIn or posting the wrong thing on LinkedIn. You might get 1 like or 2 like or 100 likes, but the more you do, the more droplets, as I said, that will help you create that big ocean. Because now when you're putting your perspective online, more eyes are on you because you've done that hard yards of getting 3 likes, getting 4 likes, understanding the algorithm. I mean, LinkedIn doesn't really have an algorithm, but understanding what works.
It kind of is still a social network than like a like Instagram and TikTok or interest media. Like if one video goes viral, it goes. But LinkedIn's more like you have 5 connections. If they post, you see it, whether you like it or not.
Exactly. And see, a lot of the other things that you can do as well. Like, for example, if I'm in IT, let's say, I look at other people who have gotten roles in IT already, right? Have they posted? What are they posting about? Maybe I can take inspiration from that, because they are posting about something throughout their student life, throughout their career, and now that they're working full time. I can take inspiration from that. And because I want to get to that stage at one point in my career, let's start posting from now.
I love that. And I feel like LinkedIn is still at a stage where there's not a lot of creators, and you can create basic written and image content that would actually get some traction. Yeah. Whereas in Instagram, and if you go to TikTok, YouTube is a quality platform. So if you give value and quality, you'll get views. But I think Instagram and TikTok is still having that aesthetic where you put in the work to do the quick edits and all that. But I feel like LinkedIn is, you can still take a photo like you did and write a nice little proverb, which wouldn't have taken you so much time as compared to editing a video. And you still get people looking at it, That is why I feel like it's a low barrier to entry for LinkedIn.
And I think it's about a lot about recycling content as well. Like for example, that photo that you saw was me at the I think AIEC 2023, where I got an opportunity to speak. Right now, I've probably written 10, 15 posts from that one opportunity because look at the perspectives that you can think of. One is how I got that opportunity. Second is how was the public speaking experience like. Third, what I spoke about. Fourth, how was that perceived? Was that around international education? What did I speak about? What questions came up? Fifth, all about the AIEC conference. And this is just me brainstorming on the spot, right? If I put it down, I'll probably be able to come out. Sixth, networking, how I got that, how I got to that level. Seventh, presenting yourself, wearing like a suit where everybody else is wearing casuals because that is how you want to present yourself. So there are a lot of perspectives that can come out of it. So you really need to juice each and every opportunity.
I think that's your marketing brain coming out to kind of work out like this, and that's very good. That's awesome. I wouldn't think like that, to be honest. That's something that's very interesting. That you kind of find one piece of content, you think you can use it and leverage it for different things. Yeah, 100%. That's awesome. Anshul, I wanted to kind of go towards the final stages of the podcast, and I asked you a couple of quick questions, right? Now, someone watching from India is like, oh my God, is there racism in Australia? They've seen a lot of other podcast clips where people are like, oh, they're racist against, Indians, Sri Lankans, and all that. What do you think? Have you faced racism? Is there racism from what you lived in? I think there is a certain level, but I don't think there's that much. What do you think?
I think I'll agree to that to some extent. I also feel that it is very individualistic. It's about who you surround yourself with. Like for example, I play cricket right now and I'm one of two Indians in my team of 15. A couple of them are Sri Lankans, but most of them are Aussies, right? If you, again, how you present yourself, how you present your community, and what sort of experiences you have really drive your what your perspective is around racism, around discrimination as well to some extent. What I feel is that a lot of people, and particularly talking about people from South Asia, do not think how their actions will set standards about their whole community altogether. Let's say if I'm dancing on the street tomorrow, people won't say that, oh, Anshul is dancing on the street, how mad is he? They'll think of India, they'll think of South Asia altogether. So they need to think, people need to put more perspective behind what I'm doing, what action am I taking, and how that affects my community, my country altogether. Not just them and that, oh, I'm expressing, my feelings and what I'm wanting to do. There's nothing bad around blasting music with your windows down on a red light. Aussies do that as well. But you need to think that how people will perceive that for your whole community. And again, to each their own. But coming back to the question, what I feel is that there's a subtle hint of it and under the table, I would say. 100%. And that is something that I've experienced around opportunities. And to be honest, to some extent, it feels fair as well. Like, for example, if I talk about cricket, if I'm representing fourth grade, for example, hypothetically, for me to get promoted to the third grade, I need to realize that I need to work double hard because I have spent a year at this club. Whereas the position that I'm going for, the person in that position has been playing for this club throughout his childhood and now he's 21, 22. So you need to realize that there's a lot of loyalty, there's a lot of time that people have spent building their networks, building their positions, to be in the positions that they're currently in. And if you think that you're better, if you think that you can replace them, you need to work double hard and you need to be consistent. Be that, oh, I didn't get this job because they preferred an Aussie over me. Maybe that local Australian has worked in content and marketing that you don't even know about. And because they know the ways around the market, maybe they've played footy as when they were a child, so they can better communicate the vision of the brand. So it's not always that, oh, they were discriminating against migrants. It's not always that. It can be, but I feel take it in a positive light always and focus on what you're doing rather than I didn't get this opportunity because they're only preferring local Australians or they're not preferring PR.
Love that. Love that. This is very, very good perspective, I think. looking at the positives instead of all the things that are against you. You look how you can do the good work, how you can stand out, how you can, put in the work to apply to more roles or network and stuff like that, which is under your control rather than worrying about how others are going to impact your performance. Absolutely good.
And I think like there was this one time where I went to a networking event, and I speak okay, good enough English, right? And then somebody made a remark around, "Oh, you speak really good English." So you need to give it back to them at that time. You need to be a little snarky. You need to be a little.
Sometimes you need to
You need
snap.
to have some attitude, right? Because you can't just be like, "Okay, thank you." No, it won't work like that. You need to have a certain amount of attitude, certain amount of self-respect, and you need to show how you got to that level, and you need to show that through your achievements, through your work, maybe through LinkedIn posts, because each to their own. You have to make a stamp for yourself.
100%, 100%. I think sometimes in those scenarios you can be like, hey, look, I've actually grown up speaking English. We actually speak English in schools, and be like, hey, look, there's an opportunity to let them know the reality rather than kind of them living in their little echo bubble that, oh, everyone coming from overseas just knows their little language. Well, if you see, even we have a friend here like who's Adil, he's grew up in, he's studied English his whole life, but he's in Saudi, so, and myself as well. So 100%.
You want to know my response to that?
What did you say?
Like, are you being racist? In a sarcastic manner. Because if they can have a banter with me, I can have a banter with them as well. And they got very defensive. They're like, no. I'm like, no, I'm just joking. Because you need to have that attitude. You need to tell them that we know how this country works as well. It's not just you who's, has a higher flooring or whatever.
100%, 100%, Anshul. Anshul, I want to ask this question. I haven't asked this to any guest, but I wanted to ask you. Start with you. Yeah, 100%. Now we're coming to the end, right? If there is one thought you want to leave all the listeners with today, and you have like 60 seconds, and you want to tell like this is the last 60, you want to tell anything that you want to say to people that are watching this, what would you want to say?
I think something that I've said a lot in this podcast, it's you for yourself, nobody else. Nobody is going to look after you. Obviously, you will find people that care about you, but at the end of the day, you have to sort yourself out, and you need to know what your goals are and what your priorities are. I see a lot of people here who get into that party mode, who get that sense of newfound freedom and independence, and really do not focus on what sort of financial background they're coming from, what sort of goals they have, what priorities they have, what their parents or whoever that has funded them has gone through to put them, into the place that they're in. So obviously, talk to a lot of people, befriend a lot of people, but surround yourself and associate with the people that you feel are true to you, and sort yourself first, and keep adding value. Be a good person, and I think keep collecting good karma points, because that is what I do, and that is how I lead life. I keep challenging myself. Like if it's a 40-degree, 42-degree weather, I'll challenge myself to go on a run. I'll go on a run, not post about it, but I won against my own mind.
Love that.
So that is a little bit of how cynical I am, because it's you for yourself, and if you are not in control of your mind, your goals, your priorities, nobody else will be, and then everybody will just leave you behind because they are prioritizing themselves.
That's really good. I wanted to ask you also some rapid fire questions.
Yeah.
Okay, quick one. Tea or coffee?
Coffee.
Coffee.
Yeah.
No chai. Huh?
I want to be a tea person though. I don't know why. Like my mom is, she drinks like 3 cups a day.
Nice.
But never been,
Maybe
put
start
onto
with
that.
like some normal just tea bag tea and slowly ease into it. Yeah, it'll be nice. What's your favorite dish to eat?
Desi chowmin, like noodles.
Desi
like
chowmin, love
Delhi near time, yeah.
One place in the world you would want to be like right now?
New Zealand.
New Zealand.
I was there in 2023.
Yeah, really? It's good, eh? It's a nice place. And the last question I want to ask, if there's one person you want to have dinner with, dead or alive, who would that be?
Yuvraj Singh.
Yuvraj Singh, love that guy. Because you're lefty as well, right?
Yeah.
You're lefty, he's a lefty.
I think it's more about the mindset.
Mindset, yeah. Warrior mindset.
Yeah, exactly.
100%. Awesome, Anshul. Thank you so much. For everyone watching, hope you got a lot of value out of this video. As always, I'll put Anshul's links, which is his LinkedIn, in the description as well. And please reach out to him, DM him. He's based in Adelaide. He has a YouTube channel. We're going to link that as well on the YouTube on the channel. message him, look at a lot of his content. If you're an international student, if you're job hunting, if you want a bit of tips and tricks, he posted a video about how to not get scammed buying a car, which is very important, I think, for a lot of us trying to buy second-hand cars on Facebook Marketplace as well. And obviously, I'll put my LinkedIn as well. As always, subscribe to the channel, like, share, and if this has meant anything, please leave a comment, and please let me know who you'd like next on the channel. Thank you so much.